What's up, Brandon? How you doing, buddy? First one, let's go. Got a lot of stuff to go over, my friends. Everybody's having a great weekend so far. Just gonna let this fill up for a couple minutes here. Can you guys not hear me right now? Just gonna let a couple more people fill up in here. Let me announce on Twitter. Alrighty. So my last video got removed, so I'm gonna, if you saw the last video, I'm just gonna go over a couple things here real quick. Not a whole bunch, but I mean, I think everything's going, like I said, the way we want it to go. So we'll get into a whole bunch of stuff here. Let me just again put on Twitter quick. Alrighty. Whoop. Alrighty, thank you, MC. Alright, so there's a lot of people, you know, talking right now apparently about them covering APE and all this stuff where it's over, you know, all these things like that. And, you know, I just want to start off with APE here real quick because so much FUD and so many people just don't understand a lot of stuff. It's crazy that these tubers that plagued your guys' mind, man, I'm telling you guys. So a lot of people that I've seen lately have been showing me their accounts, and they have a lot of APE. They have a lot of shares. I mean, I'm not gonna say APE anymore. They sold their APE and they bought AMC shares, and a lot of people were super happy that they did that. And I was like, okay, this actually happened. On top of that, with APE, you had them do FTDs, as we learned. There was 43 million. They're still shutting off the buy button overseas. To this day, people can't buy. Now they got it to under, categorized as a penny stock. People need to sign up for this, blah, 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 trying to make it harder and harder and harder for people to go ahead and buy APE. Now, a lot of people are asking why APE is falling so much harder than AMC, and it's exactly like I was telling you guys. A lot of people are hearing now Lou say, oh, they're covering their APE and blah, 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 now that it's super cheap, and none of that's happening. They're pretty much what's going on is, if they are doing any sorts of covering, you could tell by the volume, you could tell by the pressure, you could tell by the price action. They're not covering anything. If anything, they might be covering a small amount and reestablishing, just averaging down, just like me and you guys would do when we're buying stocks at a lower price. They're reshorting at a lower price. They made a little profit and they've reestablished their position. They're also liquidating across the board. You have buying pressure, you have more pressure with regulations and collateral and all these requirements coming in, and on top of that, more and more of these banks that you're about to see they're bankrupt. We've been talking about this forever. You're starting to see the rich start eating the rich, and that's exactly what we need to start seeing. Now, when it comes to APE and AMC, we already told you, if you are a short, what are you going to do? You're going to destroy APE. At all costs. At all costs. You will pay influencers if you have to. You will short the hell out of it. You'll put out every smear article you can. You shut off the buy button. You FTD'd. They have done every possible thing you can do to destroy the price of APE. Why? Because APE is their way. It kills their exit strategy. It kills their way out. And all these people sit there and go, well, fundamentals don't matter and blah, blah, blah. And look at these other... Fundamentals are everything right now. AMC is burning cash. I told you guys this. They're burning money. People, we're not out there supporting the shit out of AMC like we should have been doing. And like we should still be doing to this day. It's your company. You guys, AMC is retail owned. It's one of the very few stocks out there that's retail owned. This is why I say when this crash comes, you're going to see liquidation across the board, but AMC should only be able to go down so far. Why? We're not selling. Retail's not selling. They're going to be in a position where these shorts and all of these We're seeing everybody, which we'll get into in a minute here. All of these guys are in on this shit together. The politicians, the feds, all these guys. We've seen it time in and time out. So of course they're going to work together in a way where they can't get out of this situation. So what would you do? You try and put a squeeze on the economy. You try and make everybody have to sell by not being able to afford basically living. This is one of their strategies. And on top of that, what's that do? It makes everybody go crazy because now they're losing money. They're now, money's tighter and they're looking over like, fuck, this was supposed to do this didn't do this. And it makes you question everything. These guys are working together across the fucking board, dude. They don't want their way of life to stop. We've seen that. We'll get into all of it in a minute. I mean, this is the only clip I'm going to play here for this. But, I mean, listen to Gary Gensler here, for fuck's sake. I mean, he asked him if they're the best people to be the police. And he's just like, no.
Down to is this. Is the SEC the best system to do this?
I think the American public kind of gets it, that the system is not fully working for them.
I mean, think about that. That's like a cop coming up to you and saying, hey, everybody, should follow this law, but certain people don't have to, and, we know about it, it's okay. We're the cops. We're okay with it. We small fine them, and we'll get into acceptance waiver and consent in a second, the feds, all this stuff. But I'm going to get back into APE. I don't want to get too far away from the APE and the shorting and all this, because this is what everybody's freaking out about. Now, they're going to continuously smash APE because APE was a way for AMC to raise cash. And they needed to. I've been telling everybody forever, they need to. They have high interest bonds that are fucking them. They need to pay them down. They're like 11.5%. They're insane. Like, they're paying an insane amount of money. Millions and millions and millions. Just in interest, just throwing it away. They can't afford to do that. They're already burning cash as it is. Getting out of these bonds would have been massive for these guys back in the day. And we sat there over and over. No, not dilution, not dilution. I already showed you guys. Dilution wasn't the worst thing that could have happened. It actually would have helped because they, again, would have reestablished their short positions. And it would have been the same thing. And we would have continuously bought and bought and bought. But AMC fundamentally couldn't have went anywhere. Shorts, if you look at what they're trying to do, they're looking at it right now and they're going, all right, AMC right now as a company is still losing money. My short thesis hasn't really changed too much. I still don't think the company is going to make it. My way out, my one way out of this, still, their number one way out of this is AMC to go under. Then they win. This is how they win. This is their way out right here. If they can just bankrupt the fucking company. That's why I've been saying we need to make sure this cannot possibly happen. This is the most important thing. In fact, if we could have raised them a whole bunch of money, we could, like I said, go to see. If you're not even gonna go see a movie, just go get popcorn. Do all these things. It doesn't matter. If you want to help raise this, fight this stuff, they're looking over at it right now, going, all right, AMC's already losing money. Instead of COVID, instead of COVID killing everybody, making it so less people go to the movies, they're looking over at it and they're going, the economy is broke. Less can afford movies. So they're looking at it like, well, we can still do this, we can still fight them, we can still cover them, we can still outweigh them, and we can still hope that AMC goes bankrupt. That's their only way out of this. Everybody asked me what was their way. This is it. This is their only get out of jail free card. Because then they get to keep all the money off all the bullshit they did, and it's tax free. And that's the whole purpose of shorting. So, what are they doing? They're destroying APE so AMC cannot raise money. They convince people to sell APE, and I've seen it. I've seen it so many times in DMs, it's insane. People, oh man, look at all my AMC position, and I watched it, and I see it in their transactions. They sold APE. It's like, holy crap. People don't think these influencers have influence on people, and they do. They really fucking do. They have for a long time, and all of them have made so much they just don't care. They all look at it and go, now I can go play video games on Twitch, and enough will pay me enough because I've paid everything off and have these nice places and cars and things. Like I said, it's AMC. We need to focus on getting this company money. We need to focus on, everybody's going, oh man, I can't say we need to focus on this. It's so stupid. Money should be the main focus for AMC. APE, everybody looked at it as, all right, I'm going to buy debt for a second, okay? Now, why would I want APE? APE is just debt. It's just dilution. There's no value behind it. Because you're thinking too fucking small term. Would you invest money now short term if in the long term it tripled, doubled, no matter what? And on top of that, maybe it's short squeezed? If APE went to a price where AMC could get out of debt, the price of AMC goes up. That money you just invested into APE would come back in the form of AMC. That is the purpose of it. It's supposed to be like a black card that that investors are funneling. That is the purpose of this that people don't seem to understand. Yes, you might lose money in the short term, but in the long term, the whole purpose of the squeeze is to kill the short thesis, which is down here. And now if AMC's debt free, they have money in the account, all this doesn't matter. And on top of that, you sit there and you look over at things like this with the streaming platforms. You have Netflix, okay? You have Netflix over here coming, we need AMC. Well, why? Let's think logically about it. It's very, very simple. Thank you, Mitch. Appreciate it. If you come down here and let's look at Netflix's, what do? They make movies. They're pretty much a movie studio. And on top of that, they stream TV shows. Well, here's the problem. There's about 20 of these. There's about 10 of these. So if you want all your things, you got to get a whole bunch of them, and nobody can afford it. So they're looking at ones that they can cut costs on. What's Netflix do? Netflix cancels every good show after a season in. It's like the dumbest thing you've ever seen. Well, on top of that, they make movies, and guess what? That costs a lot of money. And if they don't get enough subscribers, because that's where they're getting their money off, and advertisement, well, if their subscribers are going down, that means they're not making back the cost of these movies. So now they're looking over at AMC going, we need to make back the cost of this movies and then some. And the only way to make profit off these movies is to put them into the theater. Because our subscribers are going down. Why are our subscribers going down? They've seen all our TV shows 1,000 times. Netflix cannot afford to pay actors after 1 or 2 or 3 seasons of it taking off. They can't. So then they just cancel the show. People are getting sick and tired of getting attached to a show. Their entire business model is trash. It's basically all right, for $10.99 per person, we need enough subscribers to cover the cost of all of our movies and then some. Now they need to go to Netflix. Like I said, they have to go to AMC. They have no choice. Streaming is dying because people are going outside and everyone's like, fuck that. I just got done watching every one of your shows 1 billion times. I'm over it. We need to save money and cut costs. You got Pluto TV. You got all these free streaming TV apps. I don't need any of these stupid things anymore. Now, back to this with AMC. So, like I said, they're looking over here like, all right, well, AMC, the short thesis is still strong. We're not going to lose our thing, and what we're going to do is just keep on averaging down. Now, here is a super FUD that goes around, and here's a super misconception inside this movement. If APE went, let's say all of this pressure came down, okay? Let's say all this pressure came down. Let's say they liquidated. Let's say we held it out. Let's say all of these, before phase 6, all master agreements are grandfathered. They don't count. If you guys remember, I don't know if you guys follow Dave Lauer. This guy is a very, very intelligent man. If you do not follow Dave Lauer, please do yourself a favor and start following Dave Lauer. This guy is insanely intelligent. I have learned so much from Dave. It is unbelievable. But if you guys come and look at what they did in the UBS, which we'll get into here in a minute as well, they were actually sending other sides of the trades over into Europe, into other, countries, which we have been talking about for over and over and over again. These guys are able to, like I said, this stuff's worldwide. It's ISDA. They can go ahead and they can get around all of these things. Go ahead and, if you're in the chat, read this thread here. Like I said, they're able to do all these things that we have talked about. And it's all, they're getting fined for by FINRA. All these things, it's happening. But none of us have been wrong. This shit's been going on. And then they get $3 million fines. Now, this is why I continuously say, when we need, people sit there and what do we need to focus on? What do we need to stop? The things we need to stop before we even get into all this stuff. Because a lot of good stuff's coming, you guys. Before everybody starts freaking out, a lot of good things are coming. I feel like we're closer now than we have ever been. Honest to God. There's so much more pressure now mounting in the background for all of these banks, which we'll get into in a minute, that this is the shit we needed to start seeing. But back into that $2 million fine, or that $3 million fine, this is the problem. If you guys want to know what to start fixing, you guys want to know what to start hashtagging, you guys want to know what to start bringing attention to, the thing you want to bring attention to is called an acceptance, waiver, and consent. This allows crime. This allows crime, and it allows them to pay a fine and never admit guilt to doing the fine. Right down here, this talks about UBS. This is the thing that Dave Lauer was talking about. They did 71,000 violations. Now, 71,000 times they broke the rules. Not that they did only 71,000 shares. No, this is 71,000 violations. All with short sales. Classic. They were able to close out short sales, and they were taking the other side of the trade in other countries. What the fuck? This is exactly what I talked about when we're talking about the sham resets, the sham closeouts, in the overstock lawsuit. It's literally ridiculous. But if you guys, like I said, don't follow Dave Lauer, he breaks this down very, very, very well. He is part of We the Investors, and these guys actually get meetings with Gary Gensler in Congress, and this is why we need to bring this to his attention. We need acceptance, waivers, and consents demolished. They can go ahead, like I said. They don't have to admit it. Look, we consent. We consent that we did the crime, but we won't admit that we did the crime. So we don't have to admit it, and we don't have to deny it. But we accept that there was a problem, so we'll go ahead and pay a $2.5 million fine. Acceptance, waiver, and consent are what allow them to legally do crime, and it's the end of it. Here's your bribe, and get the fuck away from us. Don't look into it again. These need to be abolished. I cannot say this enough. We need these gone. But back to this. We're going to get into the hedge, the pension funds, the treasury bonds, all this stuff, because there's so much pressure that is starting to mount on. It's insane. The reason I brought this up, though, with Dave Lauer, before Phase 6 happened, I showed all of you guys with Europe and LLC, Citadel. They opened 8 lines of credit in master agreements. So what does that mean? What I'm saying to you guys is Citadel's probably taking a lot of their FTDs just like these banks have been doing. And they're sending them, and they're filling the other side of the trade through other one of their subsidiaries in other countries. Well, guess what? Citadel had to do that right before that, and I'm guessing they've been doing this for a while, and to make up for that, this is where I believe Citadel can be dumping a lot of their FTDs. There's a whole bunch of places, a whole bunch of little tricks that these guys are doing, but I mean, in the end of the day, it's all going to come to an end. The problem is all of these people that are rich, all of these banks, all these corporations, they're all running on credit. Everybody in the world cannot fucking be running on credit. Somebody's eventually got to have the resources to back it up, right? So, let's start getting into some good stuff here before I keep going into other stuff, because I want people to be happier now. I want people to understand that there's so much more pressure coming in the background now. This is exactly what we wanted to see. Now, if you guys look here, close this up before I get into the Credit Suisse. Oh man, it's going to be a ticking time bomb. There are so many things, especially with these pension funds coming out. If more and more start backing out, you are going to see a massive, massive domino effect here. If you guys look at over here at the Credit Suisse, talks about them in the plunge protection team. I went over this last time a little bit. But what it talks about here in this article is talks about the U.S. Federal Reserve and all these foreign banks and how they have all basically no regulation, and they have all these gaping, loopholes, and it's going to end up, coming to pretty much threaten the U.S. financial system, which we've been saying for quite a long time. Hey, Ivan, thank you, appreciate that. And people don't understand. Credit Suisse is global, systematic. It's too big to fail in the United States. It's interconnected throughout everything. When this thing goes down, you guys, it's going to have a catastrophic event. You're going to see billions and billions of dollars. I don't know if people are going to make this back. They're trying to make it back right now in credit default swaps. But you're going to start seeing rich eat the rich. You see the credit default swaps jumping up in UBS. You see it in Deutsche Bank as well. You can see the banks that they're trying to set up for the fall. We know who it is, and this is my point. We cannot let them get away with this again. In 2008, only one person went to prison. We now know what the hell's going on. We need to educate the masses. This is why we need the world to wake up, because when this does crash, a lot of people are going to lose a lot of shit and go crazy. And they're talking about, I always see it over and over and over and over, 2008. It's in every single article. It's the same thing. It's because, like I said, guys, it's 2008, just like my writing right there. It's 2008 on crack. On crack. We're talking, people were over leveraged 20 to 1 back then, 40 to 1 back then. They're now 200 to 1 now, guys. 200 to 1. When you got all of these banks taking billion-dollar hits in the background, like I said, they can't sustain this. They're going to need a bailout, and we're not fucking giving them one, dude. Now, if you guys look over here, before I get into treasuries and all this stuff, let's get into credit. If you guys look over here now, they're actually, they started out with an A rating. They're actually down to a triple B. If you guys look down at a triple B, it is the lowest quality credit rating, still classified as an investment grade. You're basically bottom of the barrel. If you guys remember the tranches, they were at the very bottom of the tranches in the 2008 mortgage-backed security fiasco. And those were those were the people that, collapsed. They're pretty much junk bonds at this point. Now, if you guys look here, Bank of America was talking about this a while ago. And this is what I've been telling you guys. A lot of people are sitting there, where are we going to get this money? Where are we going to do this? And all this stuff. You guys, they've bought in 50 islands. They've bought in this shit. It's time people are going to have to start liquidating. They're going to have to start closing down funds. They're going to have to start selling their stocks off. And that's why you're seeing also blood red across the board. There's no way out but asset sales. And if you actually look over here, they're selling their 5-star hotel. They're trying to get $400 million for it. They're selling off a ton of stuff. If you come over here and look, they tried to sell an HQ. They wanted to sell it for $1.3 billion, but if you guys look, the Korean investment actually backed out. This company is going down. The signs are everywhere. You guys see the credit default swaps are at an all-time high. Their stock is plummeting. There's nothing that is left that can save them. this company will go down, and you are going to see a lot of banks get hit pretty freaking hard. And when that happens, like I said, they're going to have to come back and look at these new agreements from Phase 6 that are hopefully set to expire at this point. And if they are, they're going to raise the cost of doing master agreements in the derivatives market, which is how we can continuously see them pushing FTDs and how they can manipulate price. So the unlimited liquidity in the derivatives market that I've been talking about that they're able to do is coming to an end. And on top of that, you're seeing it. Like I said, they're now trying to get the fall guys. What the hell just happened, man? Sorry, I don't know what's happened. Oh, I had to load a picture and it had to go all crazy, apparently. Sorry about that. But you guys, their lines of credit are gone. If you guys look at this stuff, look where they were getting all this money. Where they were getting all this money, they can't sit there and keep dipping into. If you guys look at the feds, we've brought up the feds many, many times. If you guys look here, the Federal Reserve gave $455 billion in loans to Citigroup, just one bank. And that was in one quarter of 2020. The Federal Reserve have been bailing them out by trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. Trillions of dollars. On top of that, they printed out $16 trillion. Oh, look, right at the same exact fucking time. Crazy. At the same exact time. Here, you need all this money, here you go. Oh, you need all this money? Here's 16 fucking trillion. No big deal. The national debt is now 31 trillion. Where's it going? Oh, all to the banks. Why? Because all the politicians are bought off. Now, I went over this last time in the video, but like I said, 2 hours of it got removed. Another thing we found out with the Federal Reserve. They have a primary dealer credit facility. There was a primary dealer credit facility that was opened up in 2008. Crazy. Do you remember that? We ended up finding out that through... I'll get to it in a second. They gave them like $10 trillion through this credit facility back in 2008. And now, guess what? They opened up a brand new one in 2020. Again, the same exact time all of this stuff happened. You guys, the Federal Reserve maxed themselves out. They have literally given them, as we went over, $37 trillion. As we went over in the last 4 streams. This is what the feds have given them. Just the feds. And now you got to talk about BlackRock. Because the feds ran out of money. So they went over to BlackRock and said, you guys, we need you to buy up all these mortgage-backed securities. You got to buy up all the fucking houses, 50K above. Ask. Cash. You got to do it for us. All right, we got it. We'll give you a favor down the road, blah, blah, blah. Well, then what happened to BlackRock? They took $1 trillion loss. Not like it's a big deal. They took a massive-ass loss. They have all these houses now that are super overpriced. And who's going to end up footing the bill? Pensions and all of us. So what have they done? This is also stuff that is huge, you guys. These are massive things. If more and more and more people, if more these funds keep coming out, pension funds keep waking up, they keep pulling out of these funds, this shit will fuck BlackRock up. And if BlackRock goes down, can you imagine? They took out $800 million. And then when they asked the guy why, they said, I'm not going to sit there and support companies that sit there and try and take jobs away while we're going through a recession. And if more people start doing that, this alone could be a time bomb. And not only that, if you guys remember what I've been saying about with these pension funds, it's just like in UK. You're already seeing it. The feds are in between a rock and a hard place. They're pretty fucked. You have these treasury bonds. It's how the United States raises money. They sell debt in forms of bonds, in forms of treasury bonds, okay? They now attach this basically, we'll call it an interest rate, just to make it simple. You have an interest rate attached to this treasury bond. Now, a lot of people go, all right, they can pay this back. There's a thriving economy. I have no problem taking this, and I'll make some money in the meantime. And they're going to take this money that I use on these treasury bonds, and they're going to put it towards good use. So I have no worries about them being able to pay my interest rate, and I have no worries about them being able to buy my debt back when I need them to, when I go to cash it in. And it'll still be worth blah, blah, blah. You see the treasury bonds, the interest rates are raising. Well, who is the number one people who buy treasury bonds? It's pension funds. When these interest rates go up, it's like they come up to these pension funds and say, hey, your bet in the treasury market is getting riskier. The interest rates are going up because less people are buying them, because less people believe they'll be able to repay the interest and be able to buy the bond back, and they'll be able to use this money that I'm giving them when I'm buying their debt for interest in a positive way. So the demand is crushed. They're worried about who's buying the bonds. Nobody's buying bonds. There's a lack of bonds. Nobody gives a fuck about the United States bonds. And as a matter of fact, China's selling them. We're selling them. The feds are selling them. There's no demand. European bonds, there's no demand. No one's buying people's debt because nobody thinks these people can pay it back. Europe, literally, Bank of England had to buy back all that debt just to lower the interest rates to not put enough pressure on these pension funds. Well, in the United States, these pension funds now need to deposit more collateral for their bets. And these pension funds are like, hey, I don't have it. Go fuck yourself. And what are you going to do? Margin call pension funds? Are you going to crash pension funds? If you do that, your economy's gone. There's billions. Well, you can't crash pension funds. What are you going to do? Your only choice then is to start to buy back your debt and lower the rate so these pension funds don't get margin called. Why? Like I told every one of you guys, Phase 6 is new collateral requirement for the people that are smaller. They don't have the collateral like these big guys. They don't have it. That's why you're seeing margin calls. People talking about margin calls everywhere on these pension funds. Phase 6 now pretty much fucked them up. Them going on these treasury bond sprees and borrowing money and borrowing this. And this is why I told you guys the United States is kind of fucked up right now. They cannot borrow money through treasury bonds. You have the United States. You have no middle class. The middle class is dead. The middle class is very small, and you're killing it off every day, making them pay taxes, inflation, gas, do everything. The 1% owns about this. And then you have your poor class. Your poor is not putting money back into the economy. They can't afford it. Your middle class no longer is putting money back into the economy. They can't afford it. And guess what? The rich is holding it. They're not putting money back into the economy. That's why they're rich. So guess what? No one's putting money into the economy anymore. So now the United States is no longer being able to raise money through treasury bonds. They're no longer being profitable. We're now in what we call a recession, no matter what they want to call it, because we're not even profitable. And they want to sit there and tell everyone, it's all great, it's all great. No, the feds are what are they going to do? Keep raising rates? Okay, if you raise rates, your treasury bond market's going to keep getting fucked. If you raise rates, your housing market is going to get destroyed. You will have such a massive supply because nobody will be able to buy houses. And the demand will be gone. You will have to pretty much crash the prices down. And then what? And these people see this. They're like, get out of here. We're going to get out of here and we're going to protect our investment. This is why I keep telling everybody, get out of the banks, protect your assets. Get them where they are safe, and people that are not over leveraged 100 to 1, 200 to 1. People that are doing everything by the books and correctly. That is where you need to be. As you see, Gary Gensler don't give a fuck. These banks, they're paying $1.8 billion fines. Look at this. They just now finally got done settling a case back from in 2008, 2004, and 2006. This should have been done how long ago? It took this long? But again, it's hitting them at the right time. They're losing billions and billions when these guys can't afford to lose it. They have all of these housing. The housing market is, like I said, it's coming to a crash. There's nothing they can do about it. On top of that, I want to show you guys something with all of these companies as well. These companies have not only been inflating their numbers for their stock and all of this stuff, they've actually been inflating their numbers, their supplies, everything, to make their profits look more profitable. It's called supply chain finance. And just to show you guys an example for Coca-Cola, the SEC asked Coca-Cola if they were, doing supply chain finance because its account payables randomly went up $1.1 billion. Coca-Cola, when they audited them in 2015, literally made an extra $1.1 billion by doing this. And what it is you're basically trading the accounts payable and the accounts tradable with each other. And you go over here, if you look at what this is, and I want you guys to read this one word. It's a sale between the two, blah, 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 and then it's basically financed by a bank. Crazy. Now, what happens? Because this bank basically covers the buyer's side, blah, blah, blah. Look what it does. It provides liquidity to both parties. There's that word we always see when it comes to synthetics, when it comes to fake numbers, when it comes to fake things, when it comes to assets and money that they don't have that they can use as collateral. What's liquidity? Now they can both parties can use it. Both parties have cash on hand now. It's such a great thing. So all these mega corporations can literally inflate their numbers. They can literally inflate their profits so everybody buys in on their stocks, doesn't buy in on their stocks. Can justify giving themselves raises in the hundreds of millions that they don't deserve. Well, look, we made it up. There's a extra 1.1 billion over here, so yeah, we can afford my raise. Liquidity, theft, every time you hear it. Like I said, they're stealing from the supply chain, the housing market. They've inflated that. They've inflated the stocks. The derivatives market is at 2.2 quadrillion. The feds are tapped out at 37 trillion at this point. They cannot keep going. America cannot print more money. They cannot keep, like I said, they're finally in this place where they're between a rock and a hard place. And regulations are coming down. Banks are getting more and more fucked up by the second. More and more of us are figuring out all of these things. We need to address this situation, because if our debt in America is continuously rising and it's up to 31 trillion, again, you guys, all of America's debt is to you. Pension funds, insurance, government programs, all of these things, Social Security. That's where this all is, because they've stolen all of your retirement. They've stolen all of your insurance money when you go to collect it. They've stolen it all. It's all gone. Everything is fucking gone, and it's all given to the 1%. It's been proven and shown every single way. Like I said, I mean, I can't even continuously show you how many more times and how many more articles and all this. The pandemic was literally the biggest transfer of wealth from the middle class to the upper class in history. And then in the meantime, they had the balls to show you in a GameStop report they stole $100 billion from you, and nobody cared. This is why they do this. In 2008, what happened? 2008 happened, and guess what? They crashed the world. Crashed the U.S. Killed the stock market, killed the housing market, and what happened? One man went to jail 36 months. So people that grow marijuana, go to jail longer than this guy that crashed the entire United States. Okay. Then what happened? We went over and we said, hey, stop it. And then we did. We handed him more money. And then we go, now you learned your lesson. You're never going to do it again. We paid you to steal from us. Let's say that again. We went ahead and paid you with the people's money that you stole from in a form of a bailout. We went and we paid the bank robbers in a form of a bailout from the people that they stole from. The taxpayers. You stole from the taxpayers. Now we're going to make the taxpayers bail you out. In what world does the robbers get paid to rob you? And then you have to be the one to pay them to get robbed. That's what happened. And then what happened at GameStop? They stole $100 billion. And what happened to them? Nothing. The government said, stop it. Don't do it again. We'll tell the world you did it, but don't you do it again. And then what happened? Nothing. They're still sitting, they sipping their champagne. Citadel every other fucking day. Oh, Citadel's the greatest thing. Ken Griffin, he just donated $100 million to the GDP. Man, you guys, why isn't the government helping us? Why isn't the government helping? Because he fucking pays them $100 million every freaking midterm. How many more millions does he pay them? So what? How much else is he paying them? We're not even talking about fucking paid speeches and stuff. Why aren't the politicians helping us? They're all the good guys. They're all good people. No. You go into politicians to get rich. Why do they all go in with what, a couple thousand to their name, maybe $1 million, but they come out with 200, 150? You're only getting $250K for your salary. Where are you getting all these hundreds of millions? Oh, from the corporations that make it so you continuously let us steal from them. Said we saw the dark money. I mean, you guys think about this. Think about this number. Politicians' dark money made $1 billion. $1 billion between all the politicians. Where did it go? Like I said, this shit is fucking insane. So, they got $1 billion 2 years ago. They got $100 million that we know about this year. What did they get last year? And people wonder what's going on. Nancy Pelosi's doing insider trading by the day. And what's going on? She's still a government official breaking the law, basically. It's cool. Don't worry about it. We'll keep printing. We'll keep doing this. We'll keep giving them bailouts. And it's not like, look at how much money. What could this do? What could this do for American citizens right here? They tell us, we can't fucking give you guys more than $1,300. We can't do these things. We can't help you guys. We can't help out Florida. We can't. But in an instant, we can go ahead and give them $455 billion. This one payment you gave to Citibank could have fixed pretty much every problem. Oh my God, this amount of money could have fixed in the United States if it went towards the right places. Could you imagine? I mean, think of truly how insane that is. So Ken Griffin donated $100 million to politicians of your money he stole so he could keep stealing from you. I mean, think how fucked up that is. And nobody cares. Nobody ever just, meh, another day in paradise. Mortgage rates are at 7.12. Your housing market's dead. There you go. Congratulations. You're at 7.12%. And the average cost is what? 442K at 7.12%. Good luck. You will never own a house until this shit crashes. Good luck ever paying that. But guess what? You can go ahead and rent for fucking $1,200 a month, but you can't get approved for a house for $15,000, $2,000. You can rent for $1,500 though. We can give you a college loan, which we know is predatory, for $100K. Even though you are 18 and at the time probably work at Taco Bell type thing, you know what I mean? I'm not saying anything is wrong with that, but when you're 18 and going straight into school, it's not like you go, oh man, let me go straight into this 40-hour, office job. You don't have that time. You're doing probably stuff like this. You're doing, easy minimum wage jobs that are, whatever type things. But yet you can now afford, but those guys can afford these $100K school loans that fuck them up for life, that the government literally had to forgive. But you can't afford this house for the extra, $300, but you can afford to rent for that. Why? They don't want you to own. Now, why do they not want you to own? Like I've been telling you guys forever. If you own things, you are independent. If you are independent, the government works for you, just like it's supposed to. This is how it's supposed to. The government is supposed to work for the people. It's supposed to work for all of you. But if you don't own and you rent and you rely on them, guess what now? You're not independent. You work for the government. You see how easy that is? I make it seem like I'm doing all these nice things for you and helping you out and doing this and giving you this and giving you this. Just keep relying on me. Just keep on doing this. Why? Because now, instead of you being their boss like you're supposed to, you're now theirs. They're now yours. And why they're yours, now they can go ahead and make bills to what? Line their pockets. Don't ask me. Don't believe me. Ask every fucking politician what they came into when they were first a politician to what they made after, and then ask them what their salary is once again. How can you go from $4 million to $29 million when all you're getting is $250K from the government as your salary? Like I said, where does that other $17 million come from? It comes from good old Ken boy. Good old Ken. All these other politicians, or all these other fucking thieves, all these banks, all this crap. Like I said, it's just a complete joke, man. But, like I said, everybody's running on credit. This is the problem. Not everyone can run on credit. The richest people in the world cannot be broke. And guess what? Everyone in the United States, basically, that's rich, is broke. They're all have bets everywhere. They got, all these rich banks, these super rich bankers, they're over leveraged 200-1. You can't be over leveraged 200-1. Why can they? They're too big to fail. Countries aren't too big to fail. People aren't too big to fail. Nothing is too big to fail. But banks are. Why? Oh, because if we look at it as the banks are too big to fail and they have the politicians behind them, and we have what we call lobbyists, guess what? We now make laws, and the ants follow. But we are a free country. But don't worry, we're a free country because guess what? You got to vote between two people that we placed there. Because you have you think you have the illusion of voting between two people. People go, oh, we're free. You're not free. You're picking between two grandpas that are doing illegal shit in the background. You're picking between two criminals. 90% of the 99.999% of the time. Well, what is free about this? You're in a free country. How? Laws only apply to poor. If you can afford lawyers or bribes, they all take them or get out of whatever criminality they did. But guess what? Poor people can't afford the good lawyers. Poor people can't afford the bribes. Public defenders don't know or give a fuck or make enough to go the extra mile for you, and they're not gonna. They're gonna tell you every time, just take the deal. Why? By you taking the deal, you're in the system, they own you, there's no problems, you're gonna pay their fine, you're just gonna go, whatever, blah, 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 and they can move on to the next. When in reality, what did you really do wrong? Like I said, Biden's now talking about getting rid of all these guys' weed. Oh, weed. Like I said, this dude destroyed the economy in 2008. Think how many lives he destroyed. And what happened to him? He went to jail for 36 months. Because he's rich. If me or you went to banks and we stole billions of dollars, we would probably get the electric chair. Let's be real. You would have probably never heard of that person ever again. But what do they get? They get 36 fucking months, and now he's a banker over in Europe. Yay. And you know what he probably did for those 36 months? He probably took a huge payout to be the fall guy. Instead, it's the rich all giving each other hand jibbers. It's the rich doing every single thing to make you guys think that, hey, everything you learned in school and everything you learned, like I said, we showed you, if you get too powerful, if you invent something that ever questions their company, could make you one of them, they'll short and distort it, take your company, short it to death. Now they own your patent. And now they own your invention you spent your whole life making. Good job. Good job, America. And then what do? They bury your patent until they squeeze out every penny of control that their company has. And then they go, here's our next revolutionary idea that some guy made for us 10 fucking years ago that we just jacked. And then we also had, 2 more years to work on it and money. But don't worry, ants. You got to do these now. You got to do it this way. Think of the inventions in mankind, but we can't figure out something to do off other than fucking gas. No, they just don't want you to. I mean, like I said, it's just ridiculous. This whole fucking system is a complete fucking sham, dude. That's why a lot of people, when it comes to the stock market, that's what I've been saying too. Take your crumbs when you can as we go along this journey, this ride, so you can afford to hold on, because they're going to try and strap everybody out as much as they can. They're going to keep getting these influencers, all these fucking tool bags everybody used to listen to all day long, and they're going to tell them, every day. Like Lou. Okay. They're covering APE. You guys, this is the biggest FUD everybody spends. Okay, let's say you see the IPOs. You see all these things. These IPOs come out at 4, and the next thing you know, they're at $1,200. They're whatever they need them to be. Whether APE is at $2, it's at $1, if it's at $10, if it's at $25, if it's at $35, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is the second that they cover or start the covering process, Does it hit enough people? Does it cause enough of a domino to start affecting all of these other companies to where they have to cover too, which is how you get a short squeeze. So if they start covering, let's say it's at $2, and all of this pressure comes flying in, people don't sell off when it goes to 10, 20, 15 bucks. Guess what? It can fucking fly up to $1,200, $1,500. You've seen all sorts of things. It can happen, whatever. It doesn't need to be $4, and all of a sudden, well, it started at $4, and now it can hit $1,200 or $1,300. Well, it started at 12, so that means it can only go to $900. No. The $4, $5, $10, $7 difference here does not matter. What matters is who covers, how many cover at a time, and how many have to do it while there's that much buying pressure on from FOMO as well. And like I said, you guys, so everyone's worrying about, oh, it's $2, who cares? All this matters is you want APE up right now because that's the way that AMC can raise capital. Like I said, and everybody that sits there, oh man, but we don't want to do that. Yeah, you do. I like to spend money in investments if I know that down the road it can fucking make me more. Or else why the hell did I get in this investment in the first place? Again, they want AMC to die. AMC is still in a position to get fucked up. We need to get them out of these bonds. We need to get them cash flow positive or to a place where bankruptcy is no longer an option, dude. It is literally all about how many have to cover at once and how much FOMO is going in and pressure. That's it. It does not matter. So if people are sitting there going, oh man, they averaged down. They're covering their APE now because it's $2. Well, APE's volume does not say that they've covered shit. APE's price doesn't say that they've covered shit. If it goes up a little bit and goes right back down, and that's him going, well, they're covering here. Well, then guess what? They're reshorting here. So they're not covering. It's called averaging their short position down. So they're taking small profits and reestablishing the same fucking percent. That's why the percent is still there. They're not covering shit. Like I said, like, that's why these fucking guys, like I said, they're driving me nuts. They sit there and half-ass their shit. You could just see the shillness out of these fucking clowns now at this point. It's just ridiculous. I mean, even fucking, well, I'm gonna get into them. I'm not gonna get into the tubers. Fuck them. They're all trash, anyways, at this point. But like I said, you guys, everything is nothing but people borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. Paying fines, paying this. What do we need to start doing? We need to start, again, educating and educating and educating everyone that goes on. Whether you like to hear the news or not. If it makes you feel uncomfortable or upset, good. Listen, you should be uncomfortable. You should be upset. They're fucking you. There's no news you should get that's sunshine and lollipops that you go, oh, okay. If someone's giving you sunshine and lollipops, other than watching this shit crash and burn, you're literally watching it in front of you. You're seeing it across the board. I'm showing you exactly what I said would happen to the T. They're going to start to have no choice but rich eating the rich because they've already ate everyone else. The feds have already done everything they can literally do. Something has to crash. And when it does, dominoes will start collapsing. It's very simple. Until then, grab some popcorn, chill the fuck out. The haircuts. Everybody, the haircuts just made them have to deposit more. Basically, what it did is okay. A lot of people misunderstood that, okay, if you are taking out, let's say I'm BlackRock and I went over and I'm a short and I came over to take out a position here, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden the haircuts get triggered and Now everybody thinks that now the shorts got to come up to BlackRock and they have to deposit more. Well, really what it ends up doing, it doesn't really require them to deposit more. What it ends up doing is BlackRock comes over here and says, all right, it's going to be more costly at this point going forward for me to give out to these shorts. So what I'm going to do is raise the borrowing fee. So when the haircuts come in, it really just raises the fee. It doesn't really necessarily make them deposit more. If you go to Peter Hahn's Twitter here, I always like to give Peter a shout out. He comes on the stream quite a bit. I love everything this guy does here for us. He talks about these haircuts here. I'll just see if I can't find it real quick, but he explains it very well, because a lot of people just, they misunderstood the haircut. I should have just wrote in the search on him. Yeah, I was fucking searching. Sit here and waste time all day. What the hell is this? Oh, I'm retarded. Advanced. Boom. There you go. Alright, anybody that wants to get more information about the haircuts, like I said, he has a ton of information on it here. So it's not like they needed to do it. It's going to end up being like Vanguard, BlackRock will end up being charging more at that moment to start lending them out. So when the haircut got triggered, that's why the borrowing fee actually got raised. And that's why you're seeing it now. It's like 25% or whatever it was. It went up, pretty good. It's because, the haircuts went into play. And another thing a lot of people keep doing, you don't add APE and AMC together and then go, oh, it equals under 10. That's not how it works. They're individual tickers. Each one of them is under $10. Each one of them have the haircut requirement. So each one of their borrowing fees already reflects that haircut. So people that were just asking me that, I hope that explained it easier. I said there was a lot of people that, again, didn't understand that and were making a massive, massive deal out of the haircut thing, thinking that all of a sudden, oh man, now they have to put down a huge, massive collateral. No, it just means that the borrowing rate is going to go catastrophically up, and it like tripled. So, but what we're looking back at. All right, so the guy I want people to start kind of looking at too, he's been talking about this stuff for a while. His name is Robert Steele, and I didn't really know too much about him, but I was reading a little bit about him, and I mean, that's how I ended up learning about, the supply chain financing. He talks about all these things with the stock market and being bank robbers, and I'm going to read off his, I posted this on Twitter a couple times, but, I know everybody doesn't have a Twitter, but he wrote this open letter to the president. But I want to go ahead and show this here real quick before I get into that. This is some things that he talks about, with a Q&A with some buddies and in an interview. I want to put that in the chat as well so everybody can pull this up. But what he talks about here, come to the questions, he said, they ask what's going on and, what are the most problematic things inside of the stock market. And one of the things he talks about here is the SEC. And he goes, according to the SEC, 914,261,000 shares. Sorry, buddy. Give me my shoe. I was like, God, I was wondering what the hell he was flipping around. Shares valued at over $17 billion failed to deliver in the first week of July. Think about that. That's $1.9 billion every market day in cash. At that rate, Wall Street has stolen tens of trillions of dollars over the last 20 years. Like we've went over, they are stealing this through FTDs. People, you have got to look into the CNS program. I do not post this stuff on my Twitter unless it is absolutely vital. This is literally the holy grail. Everybody that sits there and goes, oh my God, it's from a guy who got committed with a fraud. You're telling me a guy who got committed a fraud is telling you how the fraud's done and you don't think that's good? What? The guy's telling you how it's done and people are like, Did you see he went after Mark Cahodes and he got... Fuck Mark Cahodes. Dude's a douchebag anyways. I went after Mark Cahodes. Dude's a tool bagger. But he tells you exactly how they're doing the thing. So a guy committed a fraud, tells you how the fraud's done, and they go, that's such a bad source of information. A guy who tells you what he did behind the scenes is a bad source of information, and it turns out everything in this is correct. I mean, this thing literally shows you the iceberg effect. This literally right here, this picture right here says it all. And it says it all. And you guys witnessed it. You watched it day one. You watched it from birth of APE. FTDs. Plus disclosed shorts. And guess what that does? It curves the supply. It curves the demand, which curves the true price action. That's what we see right there. We see them curving the right there. There you guys get to see how much they're curving the price. But in reality, what's underneath, settlement fails. How many times have you heard banks getting fined for that? CNS program, the thing I preach about more than anything. What about the CNS program? It creates billions of failure to, or FTDs. They call them strategic failure to delivers. Most people call them a stockpile of counterfeit shares for market manipulation. And I've shown you many times on the DTC's website, they literally admit that this is happening. They even say, hey, we reclose out your positions and remarket daily. What the fuck? If you need to make you can go ahead and short things forever. You can short it as long as you want. As long as you need to go ahead and fill another order. As long as you have another, oh, here's a retail order. Well, now I can create an FTD. I can mark it short exempt. And then I'll go ahead and I'll just meet my other delivery needs. What the fuck? Mismarked tickets. I can go ahead. I mean, literally, you could... I mean, every bank in history, over and over and over and over, oh, mismarked tickets, mismarked tickets, mismarked tickets. You can probably find 10,000 fines just on this one alone. Mismarking tickets. False locates. I just showed you, Dave Lauer just showed you guys. UBS got fined for false locating shares from Europe. Well, there's your false locates. We've already heard about naked options, illegal stock lend. I don't know what the fuck that is. Rolling options, and then guess what? Foreign exchanges, BDRs. Sound familiar? You've literally lived through this. So how could you deny this picture? And then he tells you what they do in every one of these. They tell you what everything is for. So everybody that doesn't understand, like, what's going on, this breaks it down. Literally, I can't even say it better than this. I could not break this down. If I wrote a paper, it would literally look like this. Because the shit is all set up for these guys to keep stealing from you. And they're going to keep doing it, and they're going to keep crashing the economy to put more pressure on you because they have no choice. They need you to sell. Or they need to, like I said, there's so much pressure, there's so much collateral requirements coming down. There's nowhere else the feds, these bailouts, they can't go to the feds for more money. They can't go to BlackRock. They just took $1 trillion out. They just got done with, pension funds are pulling out. People are figuring out, fuck these guys. If more and more of these pension funds start figuring this out, dude, this will change everything.
You know what I'm saying? Quit a group of junkies who've relapsed going, listen, man, I just need some liquidity. You know what I'm saying? I just ran into some bad subprime, you know? We just had complex formulas. We just didn't factor in greed and panic, you know? I just need $805 billion by Tuesday.
I mean, you just heard it from the legend himself. I just need some liquidity. Just need some liquidity. It's not like it's not known about in the rich world. They all know about it and make fun of it because, and then these guys laugh. Oh, I'm part of the squad. You guys pay me to laugh, and I mean, it's fucked up, dude. It's right in front of everyone's eyes. And people get all, oh, I can't watch, I can't. Yes, you're going to have to wake up. You're going to have to see it. Global margin calls are hitting Europe. Phase 6 is going to fuck them up. I've told you guys, give it 2 months. Give it 2 months after Phase 6, and you will start seeing margin calls. It's going faster than I thought. It's 3 weeks ahead of schedule. Main focuses for a lot of, should be getting AMC's debt paid off. And other than that, just chill the fuck out. All these other stocks are going to liquidate. Why? Because every other stock is majority owned by institutions. And they're the ones getting margin called. They're the ones that are going to be liquidating. So across the board, you guys, it's a bear market right now. Across the board. So everybody freaking out, why isn't AMC going up yet? Nothing's going up yet, other than the ones that they want, which if you guys, like I said, day trading, following these things, it's a good way to make money. The fact people thought it was a bad thing and all you could only do was buy AMC or you weren't part of the group it was just crazy to me. My John interview questions, now I'll finish that up tonight. I didn't have time. I was super busy this morning. But, I mean, I'm pretty much done ranting today. Everything is going, like I said, all these banks are getting fucked up. And until we saw that, there was nothing really to worry about. Or get excited about, I should say. But now, I'm going to answer questions for like 10 minutes here, and then I got to go. I got to go into work here pretty quick. They need my help on some things. I got some clients going live on Monday, so I got to go get that done. Any questions at all? Alrighty, I'm not seeing very many questions. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna go ahead. I know I say this every time and then don't do it, but I'm gonna make sure I try and get out, even if it's not Monday. I'll try and get out 2 little clips for you guys on this video, just in case again they fucking delete stuff or whatever they got to do. But thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys all have a good weekend here. I might be live next, maybe Monday, but like I said, I'll try and get a couple clips out. I know a lot of people don't like to listen to an hour and a half like this. When do I think Credit Suisse will collapse? Soon, man. I mean, everything's pointing in it. They're trying to sell their assets. The fact that they're trying to sell an HQ and the deal fell through tells me everything I need to see. They probably needed to sell this just to pay down debt, bond. Dude, they're screwed. They're so done. On top of that, they're selling off their assets. Like I said, this is what you're going to be seeing, guys. Wall Street's going to start selling assets to pay off all of this crap they've been doing in the back end. Their unlimited liquidity game is coming to an end, and that's all we needed to see. So it begins, my friends. So it begins. But, alright guys, I'm going to get going though. I'm going to get ready for work, head up there. Thank you guys for listening. Appreciate it, and I'll have a good day.